Get ready, because the unexpected surprise you've been waiting for is closer than you think. Your victory is being prepared, and it's about to arrive in ways you never imagined. What if I told you that everything you've been walking through, the delays, the detours, the disappointments, are not working against you, but setting you up for something greater than you can imagine? What if the closed doors, the silent seasons, and the unanswered prayers were not signs of failure, but the markings of a divine surprise on its way to your life? You didn't stumble across this moment by accident. You were meant to hear this right now in this very season, because there's a shift coming, a turnaround, a victory that you didn't see coming but has your name written all over it. So don't scroll away, don't click off, because over the next few minutes, your faith is going to rise, your spirit is going to awaken, and your perspective is going to change. Something is being set in motion in your favor, and by the end of this message, you'll realize that you're not waiting in vain. You're being prepared for something beyond what you've been praying for. There is something sacred about the quiet seasons, those moments when life feels still, when the prayers feel like they're hitting the ceiling, when nothing seems to be moving. These are the times most people overlook. But for those with eyes of faith, these quiet seasons are anything but empty. They're divine preparation zones. You may not see fireworks, you may not hear the thunder of breakthrough, but that silence, that stillness, that's when the groundwork is being laid. It's not inactivity, it's invisibility. And just because you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't happening. In these moments, you're being positioned. Things are shifting behind closed doors. Connections are being orchestrated. Hearts are being softened. Paths are being aligned. Not everything that's powerful makes noise. Some of the greatest transformations happen in stillness, in secrecy, in silence. And that's where many people miss it, because in a world addicted to instant results and visible progress, it's easy to misinterpret quiet as abandonment, but heaven doesn't operate on the world's schedule. The blueprint being followed is far more intricate than what human eyes can comprehend. Sometimes, the most important work in your life happens in obscurity. It happens when no one is clapping for you. It happens when you're misunderstood, overlooked, or isolated. You may feel hidden, but hidden doesn't mean forgotten. Hidden means protected. It means preserved. It means there's more being developed in you than what the world is ready to see right now. And that development is holy. Your character is being refined. Your strength is being built. Your discernment is being sharpened. The weight of the promise ahead requires the strength of preparation now. It's during these silent times that trust is tested. Will you still believe when there's no evidence? Will you keep showing up when no one sees you? Will you keep praying, serving, loving, growing, even when there's no immediate reward? Because that's when roots go deep. That's when foundations are laid. It's what happens underground that determines how high the fruit can grow above. If the roots aren't strong, the blessing, and so this season of quiet isn't a punishment, it's an investment. If you only knew what was being stored up for you, you wouldn't curse the silence. You'd praise through it. Because while you're waiting, the surprise is being woven into the fabric of your future. And it's not just any surprise. It's the kind that exceeds expectations, the kind that silences doubt, the kind that reminds you that you were never forgotten, never forsaken, never left out. You were being prepared. So don't despise the quiet. Don't rush through it. Lean into it. Let it do its work in you. Let it humble you, sharpen you, strip away what's not needed, and strengthen what's eternal. You're being positioned for something you didn't see coming. The delay wasn't wasted. The silence wasn't empty. It was all part of the plan, and when the fullness of time arrives, what has been hidden will be revealed. What has been planted will bloom. What has been promised will manifest, all because you endured the quiet season with faith and allowed preparation to do its perfect work. There's a tension that comes with waiting, especially when you know a promise has been spoken over your life, when you've held on to hope, when you've walked in obedience, and yet the doors remain closed. It's in those moments that the human heart is tempted to ask, why hasn't it happened yet? The timing doesn't make sense. The delay feels personal. The silence feels like rejection. But here's what the Spirit must remember. Just because something hasn't arrived doesn't mean it's been denied. Delay does not mean denial. It never has. In fact, delays are often signs that something greater is being prepared behind the veil. The truth is, many times we ask for something before we're ready to carry it. We want the blessing, but the blessing has weight. It requires character, maturity, patience, and wisdom to sustain it. What looks like a delay is often divine mercy. It's heaven saying, "Let me build you up before I bring you into what's next." You're not being punished, you're being protected. There's a process behind every promise, and the process is what gives the promise power. It's easy to forget that timing is everything. A fruit picked too early is sour. A gift received too soon can be destructive. If a door opens before you're ready, it can lead to disappointment instead of destiny. That's why what looks like a no might actually be a not yet. And in that not yet, the refining happens. Faith gets stretched, vision gets clarified, strength gets tested. The waiting room becomes a classroom, and every delay becomes a lesson. Lessons that will equip you for the very thing you're praying for. It's also during these delayed seasons that motives are revealed. Would you still be faithful, even if the answer doesn't come in your timing? Would you still trust when the outcome is uncertain? Would you still pursue purpose, serve others, stay grounded, and stay grateful while it feels like heaven is taking its time? That kind of trust unlocks a deeper dimension of relationship. It's no longer just about what you're waiting for, it's about who you're becoming while you wait. The delay also builds depth. Surface-level faith won't sustain you through a long season of waiting, but a deep-rooted trust, a faith that says, even if I don't see it yet, I know it's on the way. That kind of faith cannot be shaken. It holds on, even when everything around it says let go, and when the breakthrough finally comes, it means more. It hits differently. Not just because it arrived, but because you've been transformed through the journey. The delay didn't kill your dream, it strengthened your capacity to carry it well. Even in Scripture, delay was never a sign of denial. Joseph's dream didn't die in the pit or the prison. It was only being delayed for the perfect time. David was anointed long before he was crowned. Sarah laughed at the timing, but the promise still came. Every one of these moments felt delayed, but none of them were denied. Because when divine timing intersects with divine purpose, nothing can stop what's been set in motion. The delay is only a setup for a greater display of favor. So while the world may tell you to give up, to settle, to stop believing, it's in those very moments that you need to stand firmer. Something is coming, something better than you imagined. You may not know the date, but the day is already marked. You may not see the full picture, but the artist has not stopped painting. Your patience is not in vain. Your tears are not unnoticed. Your faithfulness is not being wasted. The delay you're walking through right now is only the prelude to a testimony you'll soon be telling. And when it arrives, you'll understand it was never denied, just delayed, for a reason, for a season, and for a victory far greater than you expected. It's easy to celebrate when everything is falling into place. when prayers are answered quickly, when doors open without resistance, when victories come without battles. But that's not always the path we walk. Sometimes we find ourselves in seasons of pain, pressure, and problems. And it's in these moments that we're tempted to question everything. Why is this happening? Why now? Why me? But what we often fail to recognize is that the struggle we're facing isn't just a problem. It's a setup for something far greater than we can see. The hardship you're enduring isn't evidence of abandonment. It's not a sign that you've been overlooked or forgotten. On the contrary, it may be the very evidence that something powerful is being orchestrated. Struggles are often the soil in which destiny begins to bloom. It's in the furnace of affliction that faith is purified. It's in the pressure that purpose is shaped. And while the current chapter might be painful, it doesn't mean the story ends in pain. There's something sacred about being pressed. The pressure, the tears, the confusion, they all carry purpose. Just like oil comes from crushing and gold is refined through fire, so too does greatness often emerge from hardship. The struggle you're in now might be the very thing that launches you into your next season. What feels like a breakdown may actually be the prelude to a breakthrough. But to see it, you have to shift your perspective. You have to stop viewing the struggle as the enemy and begin to see it as the stage. This setup doesn't always feel spiritual. In fact, most of the time it just feels hard. But that's where faith steps in. Faith doesn't deny the struggle, it rises in the middle of it. It refuses to be defined by pain and instead declares that even this will be used for good. The valley you're walking through is shaping the voice you'll speak with. The pain you're carrying is deepening your compassion, sharpening your vision, and fortifying your strength. The very thing the enemy hoped would destroy you is being flipped to develop you. Sometimes the setup looks like a closed door. Sometimes it looks like betrayal. Sometimes it's a delay that stretches your patience to its limit. But no matter what form it takes, the purpose remains the same: preparation. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. The weight of what's coming requires a version of you that can carry it with integrity and wisdom. So the struggle, as hard as it is not wasted. It's working for you. You can't build endurance without resistance. You can't learn to walk in authority without first walking through adversity. The tension you feel today is strengthening you for tomorrow. The tears you cry are watering the seeds of tomorrow's testimony. Nothing is wasted, not a moment, not a trial, not a loss. Every step, every setback, every sleepless night, it's all being woven into a greater purpose. You are being set up, not set back. When you begin to see your struggle through this lens, hope rises. Not because the pain disappears, but because you understand that pain is not the end of the story. In fact, pain often marks the place where new purpose is born. You are not stuck. You are not broken beyond repair. You are in the middle of a process that will reveal more strength, more purpose, and more favor than you knew was possible. There is victory on the other side of this, but the only way to reach it is through. You can't skip the struggle, but you can choose to walk through it with faith. You can choose to believe that there is more at work than what you can see. The setup may look like suffering now, but when the curtain lifts, you'll see that it was always building towards something greater. So hold on, even when it hurts. Stand firm, even when it shakes, because what you're walking through isn't the end. It's just the setup for a victory that's about to rewrite everything you thought you knew about struggle, purpose, and power. Surprises rarely come in the packages we expect. Most people are waiting for something grand, something obvious, something that fits the picture they've painted in their mind. But often, what's coming doesn't look anything like what we imagined. It's easy to miss what's meant for you when you're only looking for it in one form. The truth is, many of the greatest blessings arrive dressed as inconvenience. as change, as disruption. And if you're not spiritually discerning, you'll overlook the very thing that was sent to elevate you. When something shows up that doesn't look like the answer you prayed for, the natural response is to resist it. We want comfort. We want familiarity. We want the kind of breakthrough that feels easy and smooth. But sometimes the door that leads to your next level doesn't look appealing on the outside. It might even look like rejection. It might look like an unexpected move, a job loss, a broken relationship, or a challenge you didn't ask for. But wrapped inside that discomfort is often the exact thing your spirit has been prepared for. There's a divine mystery in how things are delivered. The blessing doesn't always come through the front door. It might sneak in through the back window, through a conversation you didn't plan, through a hardship you didn't understand. And that's why your spiritual vision must be clear. You have to be able to see beyond the surface. If you only trust what your natural eyes can see, you'll walk past the moment that was meant to change your life. But when your heart is sensitive, when your spirit is awake, you can recognize destiny even when it's wearing unfamiliar clothing. There are countless examples of this. In Scripture, breakthroughs often came through unexpected vessels. The deliverer was born in a manger. The prophet came from the wilderness. The miracle was in the widow's last jar of oil. Again and again the pattern repeats. What's meant for elevation often arrives in lowly, uncomfortable, or confusing packages. So, if you're looking only for grand gestures, you may miss the subtle moves. The small thing that doesn't make sense at first glance might be the open door you've been waiting for. This is why discernment matters. Discernment allows you to recognize opportunity in the middle of adversity. It helps you identify growth in the middle of grief. It lets you see purpose in what looks like pain. Without it, you'll try to escape the very thing that's been sent to elevate you. The surprise is often disguised because it's meant to reveal what's in your heart. It's meant to stretch your faith, to grow your patience, and to teach you to trust when things don't follow your script. Sometimes the blessing is hidden so that only those who are truly ready can receive it. It's not that the surprise isn't coming, it's that it's coming in a way that requires your attention, your openness, and your spiritual maturity. You have to be willing to look again, to listen closely, to lean in when your first instinct is to pull away. Because what looks like a burden might actually be a bridge. What feels like a disappointment might be divine redirection. What appears to be a closed door might actually be a covering to protect you until the timing is right. You may have been expecting your answer to look polished and perfect, but sometimes it shows up messy, uncomfortable, and confusing. That's why it's called a surprise. It catches you off guard. It humbles your expectations, and it forces you to rely on faith more than sight. But in the middle of that uncertainty is something sacred, a shift, a setup, a sign that what's coming is bigger than what you prayed for, and different than what you planned for. Stay alert. Don't box in the way you think your blessing should appear. Keep your heart open. Keep your spirit flexible. Because the next opportunity, the next open door, the next life-changing moment may already be in front of you. It just doesn't look like what you thought it would. But once you receive it, once you unwrap it, you'll realize that every detail was intentional. The surprise wasn't just in what it brought, it was in how it came. And because of that, it will leave you with more than a testimony, it will leave you transformed. There is something powerful about being in a state of readiness, even when you don't know exactly what you're waiting for. It's one thing to hope for a blessing, to dream about a breakthrough, to pray for a shift. But it's another thing entirely to live in such a way that you're actually prepared to receive it when it comes. Many people miss the moment they've been praying for simply because they weren't ready when it arrived. The promise was never the problem, the posture was. There's a reason why some seasons feel like they're stretching you. It's because the victory ahead of you requires more capacity than you've needed in the past. You're being expanded, not just emotionally or physically, but spiritually. This is preparation time, and it's not always glamorous. It's often quiet, often lonely, often misunderstood. But the purpose of this season is to get you ready for what you didn't see coming. There's a victory that's going to show up suddenly, and when it does, you'll realize every struggle, every delay, every hidden moment was part of the training ground. Being ready doesn't mean having everything figured out. It means staying available. It means staying faithful. It means living with expectation, not entitlement. Expectation says, I know something is coming and I'll be ready to move when it arrives. Entitlement says, it should have happened by now. The spirit of expectation positions your heart to receive with joy and humility. It keeps your hands open. It keeps your spirit alert. It helps you recognize that victory doesn't always knock politely. It sometimes shows up when you least expect it, and you've got to be ready to open the door. There are some breakthroughs that don't give you time to get ready. They come quickly, suddenly, and without warning. That's why preparation is key. You prepare before the rain, not after it starts falling. You build the ark before the flood arrives. You gather the vessels before the oil starts flowing. You ready your heart, your mindset, your actions, not because you know the exact time of arrival, but because you trust that it's coming. This level of readiness isn't rooted in fear, it's rooted in faith. You're not living anxiously, you're living attentively. Victory is often preceded by pressure. There's always a tension before the release, a stretching before the shift. This is when doubt tries to creep in, when discouragement whispers that maybe you missed your moment, maybe it's too late, maybe nothing's coming after all. But you can't let temporary silence convince you to forfeit permanent promises. The quiet before the breakthrough is not the end, it's the pause before the performance. Something is building, something is breaking open, and it's not just going to be a win, it's going to be a victory that redefines everything. That's why you've got to stay ready, stay in prayer, stay grounded in truth, stay faithful in the little things. Don't despise the discipline of this season. Keep working your field, keep sharpening your gift, keep showing up when no one claps. Because when the moment arrives, it's not going to ask if you're ready, it's going to require that you are. And those who stayed ready, even when it didn't make sense, even when it was hard, even when they felt overlooked, those are the ones who walk through the open door with confidence, not confusion. What's coming has your name on it. It's not random, it's not generic. It's been assigned to your life, and it's going to show up in a way that reminds you that it was worth every moment of preparation. But the question is, will you be ready? Will you have the strength to carry it, the wisdom to manage it, the faith to walk in it fully? Because this isn't just about arrival, it's about stewardship. And only the ready can truly reign when the victory comes. It's coming quickly. It's coming suddenly. Stay ready, because what's ahead is more than just a surprise. It's a divine appointment with destiny. As we've walked through each of these powerful truths, one message stands tall above the rest. Something greater is coming, and it's coming when you least expect it. You are not being overlooked, you are not being forgotten, and you are certainly not being denied. Every delay, every struggle, every quiet moment has been part of a divine setup. You're not just surviving, you're being positioned. The preparation, the process, the pruning, it's all working together for something bigger than your imagination can contain. A surprise is on its way, a victory that will not only restore what was lost, but will exceed what you even prayed for. So, stay faithful, stay focused, stay ready, because when it comes, it will come suddenly, and it will be worth every second you waited, every tear you cried, and every step you took in faith. Get ready. Your victory is closer than it's ever been. Thank you all for opening your hearts, for leaning in, and for allowing this message to stir your spirit. May every word spoken take root and produce fruit in your life. Stay expectant, stay prepared, and keep walking in faith, because your divine surprise is already on the way. Blessings and love to each of you.